Okay, so again, welcome everyone. This is another session of conversations with emerging immigrant entrepreneurs. As you know, at Ottawa Newcomer Entrepreneurs Hub, One Hub, we are dedicated to offering a variety of services to new immigrants as they launch their businesses or scale existing businesses. We have a number of different services. If you don't already know about us, you should reach out to us and we'll tell you more. Essentially, we have entrepreneurship training available. We have business coaching available. We have mentorship programs as well. Not to mention that we have financial planning supports, as well as a thriving alumni community of immigrant entrepreneurs that you can learn from and connect with. So if you want to know more about that, feel free to email onehubottawa.ca. And the special guest that I'd like to introduce you to is Akil Mesiwala. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah.
Awesome. And so Akil is the founder of The Box of Life. The Box of Life is an amazing social enterprise here in Ottawa that designs beautiful composting systems. And so these systems teach people how to turn their food waste into soil that can be used to feed their plants and trees and essentially create a beautiful community. I know I'm somebody who loves anything related to the environment and supporting the environment. And it's definitely our role and responsibility to take part in that. I'm really excited to hear from Akil because he's actually created a viable solution. And so Akil, I'm going to pass the mic to you so you can tell us a little bit about your journey as an immigrant yourself and what kind of spurred you into becoming an entrepreneur as well. So everyone, please give a round of applause for our guests.
Thank you. Thanks, Atnisha and the One Hub for calling me. WorldSkills has been a very special organization, and everything started with WorldSkills. So I'm happy to be back here.
Amazing, amazing. And so Akil, please let us know, your starting point as in terms of coming to Canada. What was that like for you?
So I quit I was in the US for a few years. I had a job and it wasn't quite in alignment with my values. And at the same time, my wife was in Canada and she was studying for her PhD. So I decided that I could move. I had the luxury of doing that. And I came here with a permanent residency. I actually applied for the permanent residency. I received it while I was still in the US. And finally, I decided that enough is enough. I quit my job without really having anything else to do. And I moved here and decided that I'll start fresh and hopefully get into a career that I want to be in, which is close to my heart, and that is in the sustainability space.
I see. Okay. So even from that point, you already had a passion for sustainability and the environment and working towards that as an employment possibility. So tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurship beginnings.
So I was looking for a job like everyone else that comes here, because that's the first step. I never had entrepreneurship in the back of my mind because it was just not something I wanted to do ever. I was very adamant growing up that I don't want to be a business person. And but then when I came to Canada, it was a little challenging to find the right job for me because I wanted to be quite picky in what I choose. And around the same time, I was exploring different options, and one of those options was to perhaps start a business. And I was thinking about that subconsciously when I had this when I started thinking about the worms and looking at my own lifestyle to see how, if there was anything in my life that I could teach people, because I always I want to do something that has a tangible impact on people. So I wanted to build something. I wanted to teach people. I wanted to know that my actions were having a direct impact on climate change, on sustainability, and just being a positive role model. And that's where I heard about One Hub, and actually not One Hub, World Skills back then. And I've heard about this immigrant newcomer business coaching program, like, which was a multi-week long exercise in the fundamentals of starting a business. And that's how I went through. I applied for it. I actually applied for it with a different business idea, but then after day 2, I decided that I want to do something else. And that's when the Box of Life and the idea came about. And with the help of the coaching sessions, I could understand the different pieces of the puzzle.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you for walking us through that. I think that's a common story for a lot of entrepreneurs starting out, where they come in with one idea and then end up with a completely different trajectory. Thank you for sharing that, because I know a lot of people can relate. So you told us about the start of your entrepreneurship journey. What I'm curious about now is if you could tell us more about the Box of Life.
Okay. So the Box of Life is a social enterprise that teaches people about how to deal with food waste, and shows people that like in nature, there is no waste. Humans are the only creatures that seem to produce waste, and it's just not a sustainable part of our society. Food waste is a very simple problem to solve. And nature has been doing this forever. It's what happens in the forest when things, plants and animals die, they all become part of the soil. And there are no smells or bugs in a forest. Well, there are some bugs, but not annoying ones. So vermicomposting is a natural process where special composting earthworms can live inside a small box and eat your food scraps and poop out soil. That's the fundamental aspect of what vermicomposting is. I wanted to design something beautiful that people can keep inside their homes, that they can keep away, like use as furniture, and also be highly functional. And I want to teach people the basics, right from, like, for those people that have absolutely no knowledge of this, we give you step-by-step instructions. We make it really easy and fun. And so the Box of Life is encouraging people to become compost heroes. I'm sitting next to my worm farm right now. It's right down there. And that's where I keep my composter. There are no smells, and it's pretty much a very simple hands-off process where the worms do most of the work for you. And then we package it nicely in a good-looking box.
That helps as well, I'm sure. I think it's really incredible how you took something that already exists in nature and has been working very well, and you also brought in the kind of modern comforts that we look for, which is the aesthetic, the no smell, the kind of automated experience, and you combine the two. And that's not an easy feat for an entrepreneur. So I'm going to go into some questions with you around that journey, just so that we can unearth your experience and hopefully get some gems along the way. While I'm doing that, if anyone has any questions, we will have a Q&A period. So you're going to be able to ask Akil questions yourself. So gear those up and get ready to put them in the chat, or we can you can go on off mute when we get to that stage. Okay. So my first question for you, Akil, thinking again about your journey as an entrepreneur, what do you wish you knew before starting, and knowing what you know now on this experience? And can I ask, how long has it been since the start?
I started in September of 2018. So
Okay.
it's slightly over 3 years now.
Amazing, amazing. So knowing what you know now, 3 years later, what advice would you give that earlier version to yourself?
My biggest advice to myself back then would be to think small, to achieve small steps to success and look at the small picture and not big picture, because we accelerated what we wanted to do and aimed for something that was too large, which is our big goal is to end food waste from going to landfill. So
Mhm.
in hindsight, that is a very large goal for just one person. And my advice would be to think small and achieve what's achievable by one person, and then keep on adding to that as you
Mhm.
grow, and then keep on bringing more people into the team to take on those responsibilities.
I see. Is that because you felt like uh you took on a little bit more than you could chew at different points?
Yes, we
I
started doing too many projects, and it got very difficult to manage them.
I see. Yeah, that's definitely something to learn from, and appreciate that you're bringing that forward. My next question is more around your customer base, because I imagine it's an interesting sell to get people to bring worms into their homes. So, how would you describe your ideal customer base, and what kind of marketing methods do you use to attract them?
So our ideal customer is 25 to 40 years old. They're concerned about the environment, they're concerned about climate change, and they're looking for solutions that they can incorporate in their own lives to do their own part, because it's such a big problem, and we often feel helpless in these in such macroscopic problems. But then I tell people that composting is one of the most powerful things you can do to reverse climate change as an individual. You are
Mhm.
diverting food scraps away from landfill, you're feeding the soil, and the
Mhm.
more you feed the soil, the better the soil health becomes, and the better soil health, the more carbon that soil can sequester. So I tell people that a, a little bit of worm compost that you add into your gardens can make your gardens into carbon sequestering power plants. So
Wow, that's
that's the impact. And the way we communicate this is mostly through social media, because a year or a few months after we started, the pandemic hit. All
yeah.
our in-person activities had to stop, and we had to pivot to communicating on socials.
Mhm.
Now we're going back to in-person events where most of the communication is happening through workshops and talks that we do in public. And that's where I bring along a worm farm and I show people
Mhm.
what to expect, because it's such a unique concept that it's hard to imagine. And that's why I take out that element of uncertainty by showing people exactly what to expect. And when they see it, then they're like, okay, this is not too bad. It just looks like a bunch of soil in a box. And yeah.
Amazing. Okay. Yeah, I can see how that's a completely different dynamic. Communicating something so complex over social media. I mean, I'm wondering if you can tell us more about that experience in pivoting to social media. What kind of Was there anything that worked well?
What worked well was the fact that we could connect to people that we otherwise wouldn't have been able to find. So we've grown a really strong community. I've made friends. I've found business owners who are like-minded, and all of this happened through social media, because it's kind of like a resume, a digital resume of images and videos, where you can just go through another business and be like, okay, this business seems like I can partner with them on projects. And that's how we started to grow collaborations, by reaching out to businesses on social media and
Okay.
improving our community. I'm not a big fan of social media, to be honest, because there's just
Mhm.
so much of information out there that it's hard to cut through the bullshit and
Mhm.
convey your message. So social media for us is just a tool for communications, like
Right.
SMS or calling for us, because people communicate with us through social media. But
Right.
most of the, I would say, advocacy around this process of vermicomposting happens through customers themselves. It's when customers start using this, they like it so much that they tell their friends and family.
Right.
And referrals are the number one way we are making sales.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It seems very experiential. That's why you're eager to get back into the in-person. I imagine was to not only does it give people the, I can touch and feel what this is, I can dispel any of these preconceived notions. I can also show other people once they come to my home and they can get their own and have that. It just kind of replicates itself.
Mhm.
That's quite interesting. Though, that you pointed out that your partnerships and collaboration opportunities rose in social media in that space. So that's really, really cool. The next thing I would love to hear from you is more around, motivation. So being an entrepreneur naturally has its ups and downs. So what keeps you motivated during these highs and lows on this journey?
Yeah, it certainly is up. It does have ups and downs. It's our customers and people we interact with that motivate me when they tell me things like, keep doing what you're doing, it's making an impact. When people reach out to me saying how amazing this journey has been for them with their new worms and their new pets, and how it's changed their lives and it's changed the lives of people around them.
Yeah.
And I don't expect such reactions from our customers. I just want people to compost. But it's good to know that the worms have altered their way of thinking and made them better people. What I do is, if I get an email that is positive, that highlights something good we've done, I have a folder that says praise, and I just put it in that folder. And every time I feel like I'm not having a great day, I can open that folder up and just see what other people have to say, and that's motivating.
That's so handy. That's a great little gem. No matter what happens, you always have that folder. It's very tangible, really accessible. You can pull it out. That's a great tip. I might have to take that advice myself. So now that you've shared that, I would love to hear maybe a little bit more detail, the most satisfying moment in business so far.
So for me, my biggest flex is the fact that I know other businesses that that are around me, and I know the business owners,
Right.
because it's cool to walk into a restaurant and where the owner chef says hi. And similarly, you walk into other stores and you're like, oh, I know the owners, and you can start having those type of conversations as owner to owner, as opposed to customer to an owner.
Yeah.
And so that's been something that I am quite proud of, the fact that I know people in the small business community.
Amazing. That's so good. That's true. That is a good flex for sure. And so what we have, newcomer entrepreneurs in the space right now. And so from your position here, 3 years in, what piece of advice would you give newcomers who want to become entrepreneurs, who might need that extra push?
So entrepreneurship is hard. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There is financial instability, there is a lack of motivation, there are many challenges that you have to figure out all by yourself. So if there's anything that I could suggest, is to find co-founders of your business. Try to not do it alone. For most newcomers, we're coming in with a with no social circles and just absolutely no support systems. And that makes it really hard to start a business, as opposed to if, we're back home to our home countries, and if we had the same idea, we'd be like, I know so many people who would be willing to at least lend 5 to 10 hours of their week to help me start it. But when you come here, you don't know anyone. So if you can find people, like-minded people, either through networking sessions or through your own friend circle in your city, in your new city, take advantage of that. Even if they have a job, ask them to spend maybe a few hours every week to help you formulate your business plan and your ideas. And also during the execution phase, it would be nice to have skills like someone who's good at project management, who can teach you a little bit about how to manage the different projects. Someone, if you're doing a manufacturing business like ours, knowing somebody who has been there and done that can give you advice. So mentorship, coming to advice, mentorship is quite important. Having a stable mentor who for a few years, who follows along your business, who can give you advice and who can guide you through the challenges, that's worth, even if you had to pay some money for it.
Such valuable advice. Absolutely. That's the reality for a lot of newcomers, not necessarily having the support system that they would otherwise in their home country or the countries they're in before Canada. So really taking advantage of the networking opportunities in the space is, it pays dividends. And I really, of course, I'm a bit biased because I'm the mentorship coordinator here at OneHub, but honestly, the benefits you get from mentorship are sometimes like beyond measure, because you have someone, as you said, someone stable who's in your corner as you're starting up, and it makes a huge difference down the line. So thanks for showing that from your perspective. I see there's some movement in the chat, and I want to say thank you for everyone who's asking their questions. So I will hurry up with mine. Don't worry, I'll be out of your way soon. My next question for you, Akil, is how do you continue to grow and develop as an entrepreneur?
I attend webinars and workshop sessions as much as I can to absorb all that information out there. I don't know if I've grown a lot as an entrepreneur. I think you just get better at figuring some things out. And unless you want to, the thing with entrepreneurship is that you cannot specialize in one thing. You just have to be a generalist. You have to understand procurement, websites, sales, e-commerce, HR, payroll. You have to figure everything out, so many different pieces. So I've now reached the point where I don't mind outsourcing certain tasks that make my life easier, tasks that I don't find any joy in doing. And
right.
And so that kind of helps. But yeah, I would say that there are a lot of moving pieces, and if you had to choose upskilling, I would say try to think about your career as an entrepreneur, because maybe some people don't want to run a business for their entire lives and might want to switch back into industry. So when you do want to make that switch, you'll understand what brings you joy and what you're good at, and try to focus on that in your business, so that maybe in the future, when you want to go into corporate or into the nonprofit world, you have an understanding and an improvement of the skills that you already like, so that you get a job that satisfies your self.
Wow, I've no one's ever really put it that way here on their Lunch and Learn before, where you're essentially building your entrepreneur resume it's going to potentially serve you if you do want to pivot back into industry at one point, but you'll want to have actual evidence to present as to why you'd be a valuable asset because you've worked so hard on yourself and getting to know your skill sets, your strengths, and all that wonderful things. That's a really interesting perspective to carry, and I think it actually works quite well. My last question for you is more about your industry. You're sitting here in front of us as a local social entrepreneur. Some people don't even know what social entrepreneurship is. So I'm wondering if you could give us a little bit of maybe in a sentence what social entrepreneurship is.
Yeah. So social entrepreneurship is a business that addresses the triple bottom line of people, planet, and profits. It's not a pure profit-making enterprise, because oftentimes if you're just looking for profits, the planet is going to suffer. Clearly, with climate change, the planet is suffering, and people will suffer because you'll eventually find ways to reduce wages, you'll find ways to cut corners and just maximize profits. And businesses that maximize profits are not helping society. But social enterprises that tie in uplifting communities, helping the underprivileged, helping the environment, and then making just enough profits to keep the lights on, to have a comfortable life. I feel like that is the fundamentals of a social enterprise. And even if your business idea you don't quite know how it's going to improve the lives of people around you, there's always ways of incorporating that, a small element of a social enterprise. Like, for example, you could donate 25% of your profits to a charity that is close to your heart, and that's your driving factor. That's how you address the people and the planet aspect of your enterprise. And then if you, in the same lines, every decision that you make in your business will consider the 3 Ps. You'll not just focus on profits. You will also focus on, let's say you're doing a clothing brand, you'll focus on sustainability, making sure supply chain is clean. You're not using, slave labor in third world countries to give you a $5 t-shirt, because that is maximizing profits, but it's not maximizing people and the planet. So that's where social enterprises play a big role. And hopefully in the future, all businesses will be a social enterprise, because that's the only way we can grow society in the current capitalistic model that we have.
Thank you for painting that for us. And you really, I think you really answered the question, why having a social mission is so important for us today, given the state of the planet and the way people are being impacted by traditional business. So thanks for laying that out. I guess my next question to you is essentially, how can local governments and community members encourage more social entrepreneurship?
So find a local, every city or most of them will have some sort of incubator hub that focuses on social enterprises. So in Ottawa, I know that there is one organization called CSED, Center for Social Enterprise Development. They help you understand the fundamentals of a social enterprise. But if I'm being honest, every business can be a social enterprise. You can go through the World Skills One Hub coaching program and learn about how to incorporate a social enterprise mission in your business plan. Another good support is to really just think about what you're trying to do. It might be selling a cell phone, or it might be selling something that you're passionate about, but then you also may in your personal life might care about a social cause, or like you like pets, or you like animals, or you like you really like bicycling. So you can still incorporate your passion into your money-making enterprise by being creative. As simple as donating money which is, I would say, the lazy way out of a social enterprise. Just donate money to an organization. If you want to be more involved, you can start building a community around it, around what you're doing. One simple example I can give people is, if you are concerned about employment for immigrants, perhaps your organization can focus on hiring newcomers and giving them that stepping stone to get a job somewhere else. So if what you are doing does not require, or rather requires, a more generalist approach, like that you could fulfill with a newcomer, then you can hire a newcomer, give them the coaching for 6 to 12 months. And once they've learned about how to maybe start a business or join a business, they can use that and get another job outside of your space. So that way, your social enterprise is to help encourage entrepreneurship while also selling products.
I think that's amazing. I think what you've done is really break it down into like bite-sized pieces where literally anyone can incorporate these principles. So much appreciation to you for that. We're going to transition now into the Q&A. My colleague Sumaya is going to lead this portion. And of course, Sumaya, if you have your own questions, feel free. We're going to get to the questions in the chat. So thank you again. And here we go.
Thank you, Tatanisha. I just want to add a little thing here that we used you as an example while dealing with our clients. So when somebody asks like whether this will work or not, this will happen or not, I tell him, my friend Akil, he sells worms. If he can sell worms, you can sell anything. So thank you so much for the motivation. And it's so good to see you around and helping the community. And thank you for being here with us today. We have a question from Daniel. How do you stay motivated with your business when something doesn't go as well as expected?
Oh, that happens quite a lot. I focus on I forget. I'll forget if something goes, it'll affect me for a few days, but then I just try to forget it. And if I was a more organized person, I would make detailed notes about what went wrong and then try to fix it in the future. But I should be doing that, but I don't. I try to not dwell on the negatives. And also what I said in the past, having a folder or a praise folder that highlights some of the accomplishments that you've done based on other people's feedback is very rewarding, because then you get to hear what others have to say about you. So when you say, Sumia, that you are giving me as an example, that's made my day.
Thank you so much for your answer. The next question is again from Daniel. She's asking, what is your biggest challenge currently?
So my biggest challenge right now would be to be profitable, to find profitability so that I can not just pay myself, but also grow the team.
Thank you so much. Another question we have here is, Zambani wants to know that I would like to know some of the challenges Akil faced in starting his innovative business and how he overcome them.
So for me, my challenges were quite specific because I wanted to design and build a physical product without having any understanding of how to do woodworking. The first time I learned about using power tools was when I went to prototype my box. So that was one challenge, is just not knowing how to do anything with my hands. The Ottawa tool library helped a lot because they are an organization that can teach you how to use tools, and they gave me this physical space to learn how to do that. So big help with the tool library. The other challenge was understanding what are the different pieces of starting a business. And that's where World Skills helped with the incubator program. We had a lot of interesting guest speakers come in with their specialties, and the hands-on exercises where we had to actually write down our business plan, our marketing plan. That was very helpful as well. And lastly, my challenge has always been in figuring out ways to market the product. So that's an ongoing challenge. We keep trying to update our communications, our strategy, just to see what has the best results. And my takeaway from that is you have to keep innovating. You have to keep trying new things. And if you don't try new things, you're going to get stuck in the old. And that would lead to a little bit of frustration.
Thank you so much. Another question we have from Rosie is, where can we find your product?
So Rosie, you can find us online. It's the box of, I'll drop a link here. It's theboxoflife.com. We are also in Ottawa. We have a physical location in Little Italy. You can find us. We're typically open 10 to 5, and you can just walk in and learn more about our products there.
Okay, we have a question from Kais. You talked about the financial difficulties. Most newcomers find it extremely difficult to access funds to help them start their business. Could you tell us a little more how you dealt with that?
Yeah, so I have not raised any money for the business. Whatever I have put into the business, I kept growing the small asset that I started out with by making sales, and then whatever money that came in, I started putting that back into the business to keep growing it. And for me personally, accessing funds is scary because I wouldn't know what to do with so much money, or rather any kind of money, because most of the money that I would like to spend will be on hiring people. So for access to capital, there are organizations that you can leverage. You just have to create a good business plan and submit it to them, and they can offer loans and grants. We've received a decent amount of grants to like wage subsidies because of the business that we are. We've received some wage subsidies, some other grants that we've won. We enter pitch competitions every now and then, and that gives us, if we win them, it gives us a little bit of pocket change to do some projects. But funding is it's a slightly different ball game, and I haven't yet explored that personally.
Thank you. Another question is, from Kais, that could you elaborate on your marketing strategy?
My marketing strategy. So most of our marketing is tailored. Right now, we don't quite do a lot of marketing because we are not spending any money on marketing. We just hosted a pop-up event at our shop with like 15 different vendors on Sunday, and that brought in hundreds of people. They came for the vendors, but they also experienced our shop and they got to learn about what we do, and that will give us some brand reputation. I'd say right now we already, as a brand, the Box of Life has a presence in Ottawa. Our target audience has heard about us. We now have to figure out how to convert them from a passive audience into a customer. So for doing that, we're hoping to start a referral program very soon, where customers can refer their friends and get account credits for every referral they do. Because I know that there's already a lot of referrals going on, but we're not tracking anything. So this way we'll be able to solidify that, make it a fun game where we can track the highest influencer, the person who's made the most progress in their community in promoting vermicomposting. We also market, like we don't follow any of the traditional marketing, because I feel like marketing fundamentally is about getting people to know who you are as a business. So we focus on building community and making networks and creating friendships that will help us in the future.
That's very helpful. Building community, we believe in that too. We are trying to do that too. You spoke about profitability. That's a question from Zambani. What are the major cost elements for your social enterprise, and when do you expect to turn profitable?
So we had our biggest cost right now is just rent, because we were in a co-working space that shut down. So our rent jumped from $500 a month to we had to now rent our own space, which is way bigger than what we need. But yeah, our rent increased our overheads by 5 to 7x. And because of that, we, for the last 2 years, we've been kind of struggling with making the business profitable because of the high rental costs. In the future, I mean, this was unavoidable, if I'm being honest, because we needed a space to manufacture our boxes, and there's not much available in the downtown area. So without having to sacrifice and drive 1.5 hours away, we decided to keep it local. And that's the biggest expense. And I would say that come October, when our lease ends, we are hoping to move to another space with more tenants so that we drastically reduce our overheads, and then we can turn profitable. We've always been profitable from day one. Just as a business, profit means if you make more money than you spend, and it doesn't quite count your salaries in that. So yeah, as long as you can start making more money than you spend, you have a good platform, and then you can keep on increasing.
Thank you so much. We don't have any more questions here, so back to you, Tatanisha.
Okay, yeah, those are a lot of tough questions. Thank you for hanging in there with us, Akil. We're a very curious bunch here. So thanks so much, and for sharing your details. I'm going to do that again. Just here for anybody who wants to know more about the Box of Life. We have Akil's details all here. You can catch them on Instagram, Facebook, or on the website, or directly reach out to Akil. He's generously given his email here. So if you want to know more, actually I should ask Akil, is it okay if we reach out to you if we want to know more?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Amazing. Thank you for taking the time. What I'm going to do now is just launch a poll, and if you guys can indulge me, I just want to know more about how everyone networks. I think that's really interesting to learn from one another, so I'm going to launch it now. Please let me know how you network or prefer to network, and if you're going to be at our next event. I'm just a little bit nosy. I want to know. Ahead. All right. Okay. I think the theme of referrals keeps coming up. That's good. I think that's definitely a takeaway from today, is the power of referrals. And I'm super curious to learn about that system. I can't wait. I love when people gamify things. I learned that about myself. Once it's gamified, I'm hooked. So I'm looking forward to that. All right. So I guess I will see all of you in April. That's when we're going to have our next Lunch and Learn. And it seems like people's favorite way of networking is between meeting people through other people, the referral that we were talking about, and connecting with professionals and through community organizations like us. So thank you again, everyone, for taking the time. We are so grateful to all of you, and we wish you a great rest of your day. Take good care, and keep us posted if you find any amazing immigrant entrepreneurs in the community that we need to know more about. please send them our way. Take good care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Akil.